Have I been too honest about reviewing sim racing gear on this channel? Seems like a weird question maybe, but I got a comment about the T598 and the Thrustmaster T598 I've recommended on this channel for a long time now in that price point. When I review gear going up different price points, when I'm talking about for £360, about $429 to get PlayStation compatibility or Xbox compatibility now, to get 5 Newton meters of direct drive with overshoot. Yes, the pedals are not fantastic. They're not load cells, and I've said that since day one. And also the base has disconnect issues. Now, I did get in contact with Thrustmaster about the issues that a lot of you have been having with the T598. Big thing with the T598, there's an issue with the power supply.
Damaged. His T598 is going back to France for another service.
All the way back. Good evening, guys. Remember the last time I said that my T598 works perfect last 8 months? Well, now it disconnects all the time. There's a moral in there. So you've had it for 8 months, so you are in the batch where they say there were issues. I would say if Thrustmaster wasn't coming in at the lowest price, they'd be in trouble, because you'd be like, well, why would I get the T598 over some other brand that doesn't have this known issue?
Yeah.
Now, I got a comment saying, you're too critical about the T598. You keep mentioning the disconnect issue, and no one else does. And it got me thinking, probably no one else does mention the disconnect issue, so probably I look a bit unusual when I recommend this base and also say it has a disconnect issue. And there's a lot of factors going into this that I think are going to be so relevant for 2026. So firstly, just to confirm, I still recommend this base as long as you're aware that the pedals aren't load cells, but I flew over and tried their new load cells coming out. And also you're aware that yes, there have been many reports of disconnect issues with the power supply. Okay, now the reason why people, and that's why, by the way, I recommend buying it on Amazon or somewhere with good return rights in case you have an issue. The reason why I'm probably the only person talking about disconnect issue is this. Either people are probably shilling the brands that they work with, let's be honest, and they don't want to talk bad about them because they want to shift a load of gear. It's all understandable from an economics perspective, especially if you're a full-time YouTuber and YouTube is your job. You need to make money to earn a living. This is not my full-time job, by the way. I pay for the studio, I pay for all this stuff, but it's not my full-time job. This is a hobby for me. I'm very passionate about sim racing, and I really want to give back to the sim racing community that when I was starting sim racing, there wasn't really people I felt speaking to me about me for sim racing gear that I might want to use, like especially entry-level stuff. But I understand that if you're a full-time YouTuber, you don't want to speak bad about products. You just kind of want to say, yeah, this is great, go buy it. You don't want to say that they're not load cells. You don't want to say there's disconnect issues. Also, the people that review sim racing equipment, I don't think sim racing reviewers are the best reviewers compared to other industries, and I count myself in that. I think we're better than other industries. I can't buy a mobile phone these days, and I can't buy a camera lens these days, or I can't buy a camera these days and get a useful, objective understanding from YouTube. They're just terrible, in my opinion. Sim racing is better than that, but we're not as good as we can be. We're not tearing down products. We're not showing you loads of graphs. We're not showing you exactly how hot they get or doing audible things. There's a long way to go, and part of the reason why I pay for this studio and I work with journalists is I want to really improve the quality of sim racing viewing. There's a lot of good people out there, and I think we all need to improve together. But the main reason why probably no one's talking about disconnect issue is people don't go back and firstly, people don't really use the products. Okay, people tend to review stuff and they don't use it again, so they can't give you like a 6-month or 12-month review. But then they don't go back anyway. They don't go back and say, okay, well, this is how the product is a year later. Now, I tend to use the products that I review, or try to. I really try. I'm going to have a studio so I can keep swapping equipment. I can keep coming back to stuff. I can see the latest firmware changes. I can see when stuff's been improved. You'd be a bit crazy if you're reviewing sim racing games and you never updated it, right? You're still playing Limit Ultimate like early access when it's now in full release, etc. But that's why I wouldn't be surprised if no one else has mentioned the disconnect issue, and therefore I look a bit strange. Now, I did a search on my channel. I just searched basically disconnect and T598, and I got a ton of comments. So I'm going to let you know how it is, like I always do. This base did have at some point, at least, a disconnect issue whether it's been fixed or not, I reached out to Thrustmaster, and Thrustmaster sent me an explanation saying how they'd identified there was an issue previously. They've now fixed it in future production batches, and also if people contact them, let them know they're a subscriber to my channel, they'll get a replacement PSU. And you can see in the comments, hopefully I'm showing you on screen now, that people have done that. But I'm not sure who else has reported on that, to be honest with you. And if you're watching this and you don't think anyone else has reported on it, then I think we do have a question about honesty in sim racing reviewing. And I think this is going to get a lot worse in 2026 because the people that are reviewing sim racing gear, I think, have good intentions. Like, even the people that are brand ambassadors and, you know, don't want to say anything bad, they have good intentions. They would be uncomfortable pushing stuff if it was really bad. Also, the reviewers are sacrificing a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to review stuff. So everyone you see who's actually reviewing stuff, I can tell you there's so much behind the scenes that's really not very glamorous that they're going through to do these reviews. And the views they're getting on YouTube probably aren't earning them much money, so they kind of need to get affiliate, etc. But AI is coming here in 2026, and I've already seen channels purporting to do long-term reviews of equipment where they just don't have the equipment. It's AI B-roll and it's an AI voiceover, and you look at the comments and people don't realise that they're being scammed. And the reason why I say it's a lie or a scam is because they are pretending that they have actually used these products and tested them properly and are able to give you kind of information that you can't get if you haven't bought it yet. And in exchange for that, you'll kind of value what they're telling you. So they're lying and scamming you. So the situation is going to get a lot worse. And I feel like we need to improve the sim racing review situation. We also need to, I think, have a kind of like in sim racing, a bit more of an understanding that not everything is going to be either the worst thing in the world or the best thing in the world. Like most things, it's kind of in the middle. This is a very good wheelbase. It's fantastic value for money, but you could buy it and you could have a disconnect issue, and it could disconnect in an important race for you, or it could disconnect and you have to spend time sending it off to get RMA'd and waiting for it to come back. That's just part and parcel of it. That doesn't change the fact that it's still a good price point for the product, but it's something to bear in mind. And some people are going to be more sensitive to that than other people. Other things that I just wanted to mention, like in sim racing, where it's not either the best or the worst in the middle. It's like iRacing can be a very, very good online sim, but it can be true at the same time that having to pay for specific cars and tracks on top of like a monthly subscription or yearly subscription is ridiculous. Like to have both of those. And both these things can be true. It can also be true that Le Mans Ultimate is a very, very, very good sim, but the Race Control and Race Control Pro Plus subscriptions are just a bit confusing for someone who's getting new into it. It was also true back in the day when Fanatec were making great gear in 2023, 2024, but I was reviewing their financial statements and I was saying it looks like they're going to go insolvent. And it can be, two things can be true at the same time. The gear can still be good, but the company might go insolvent. And as it turned out, they went into they entered the insolvency procedure. And I was one of the only people, if not the only major sim racing YouTuber to really report on this at the time. And I got a bit of a flashback recently when I saw screenshots of YouTubers sharing deals to Fanatec, links to Fanatec deals that weren't even deals. They were just affiliate links to like products that were more expensive than they are on Amazon, which to me just seemed kind of crazy. So not everything in the world of sim racing is either the best or the worst. There's nuanced things here. And I feel like we deserve better, or if we want to grow as like a niche, as like an industry, we need to have a more grown up kind of way of discussing these products. Like, I think it should just be common knowledge, like the value proposition of the T598, but also that there were disconnect issues. And then we can hold Thrustmaster to account and see, are they fixing them? By all accounts, Thrustmaster had some issues with the T818, and they say they fixed them in the Black Edition. And I know there are people buying the Black Edition, and if they're satisfied customers, then that's fantastic. And it's because of that kind of scrutiny. Because I'm scrutinizing Thrustmaster, then, you know, they know that people are aware of this issue and they're incentivized to try and fix it. If there's no scrutiny, they won't be as incentivized to try and fix it. So let me know in the comments what you think. I'm going to keep telling you how it is in sim racing, both here in these videos, on my weekly live streams where you can just ask me anything, in the sim racing newsletter I do every week, free sign up in the description below. And hopefully we can help move sim racing, just help move it forward, help make it more accessible, help more people come into sim racing, help the communication between the brands and the people racing like you and me, so we can get better products and sim racing can grow. That's what I want to see. Make sure to subscribe if you want to help me out, and I'll see you next time.